Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at 3117 Northeast 1st Place here in Hillsboro. We're located at the front of the home. We're just in front of the doorway here, right off to the side of the walkway. We have a 3-inch ABS cleanout. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Currently have water running. Here we go. Transitions to 4-inch PVC pipe here. We're going through some standing water here right now. Well, it looks like there's a fair amount of it here. Now we'll let the line drain out here at the end and take a good look at all this. Now then, this is the main lateral connection here at 71 feet. I'm going to go locate this to find out where the line terminates at, and then we'll let it drain out completely here before rolling back in so we can get a measurement how much water is there. Typically, I start to see regular old toilet paper start to collect once you have at least 5 feet of pipe with at least an inch of standing water. At that point, it's still quite livable as long as you're not flushing paper towels and stuff down the line every day. But anyway, that's my breaking point. That's where I typically, over about the course of 13 or 14,000 scopes, that's where I see toilet paper start hanging up in lines. So we'll see how this one looks here going back in. Hey, I located the camera head here at the main lateral. The depth, it's extremely shallow for being at a main lateral and about 70 feet out. The locator's bouncing around between 3'10" and 4 feet deep, which is about 3 or 4 feet shallower than the average main lateral connection is going to be. Usually it's around anywhere from about 7 to 9 feet deep. The average line anyway. So I mention that because it's a possibility that due to the depth of the main, sometimes that has to do with why there's a belly or not. I don't know that for sure, but the shallower the main is, the harder it is to grade a line properly. You have much less room for error. I have put a white paint marking out there. Unfortunately, we're having a pretty heavy rainstorm today, so if you do a repair, you're very likely going to have to relocate and paint this out again or have locates performed. It just won't last. And at this point, we are down to just barely a trickle. There's hardly anything moving through the line here. We're going to go ahead and start reeling back in. So right at this point here, we're at a inch of standing water. Water line's going up over the camera lens. The camera sits at exactly an inch off the top of off the bottom of the pipe. Now, once it gets to a certain point, so right here, if you watch my camera, I'm jerking it back really quickly right there. If the water level is about 1.5 inches or less, that water line will suck down below the camera lens. And when I do that here, I'm not getting any, it's staying submerged. So there's probably closer to about 3 or 4 inches of standing water in this belly here. It's quite significant. You can see how thick it is with debris and everything, and it's like hitting I describe it like hitting the pool at the bottom of a water slide. You come to a stop really quickly, and it's the same thing that happens with toilet paper. It hits all the standing water here, stops up, and has the ability to start building up in the line and potentially causing a clog. And being that it looks like somewhere around 3 or 4 inches of standing water, it's a significant belly. When it's hovering around, anything less than 1 inch is very, very livable. And at this point, based on the cleanliness of the line, generally if you've had a backup in the past, you're going to have a lot of debris evidence throughout the line here. It's actually looking fairly clean prior to this point here, but bellies don't get a whole lot more significant than this one does. The only thing that would really make this worse would be if it were just longer. But anyway, I am going to recommend a spot repair to correct this portion of the line. It is unfortunately out in the roadway. I'll get it marked here and try and take a picture so at least you have that, but I'll mention the depth here in just a moment of what it looks like at this point. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and reel the camera back in here. I do have I've taken a picture. I've got paint down on the ground out there, and the belly starts within about a foot of going out into the roadway. It basically starts as soon as the line gets out into the road. Again, it extends there from 54 feet to 71 feet. It's a pretty large belly there with a lot of standing water in it. So I would recommend a repair to fix that. It's one that's very likely to cause a blockage and backup at some point, especially if you're not being careful. It looks like whoever's living here, either there's just not a lot of people in the household, or they're very careful as what goes down the line, but at that point there, it's going to hang up toilet paper, which is intended to go down the line. When the bellies are on the minimal side, usually it's entirely the homeowner's living habits that causes them to back up. But in this circumstance, that's going to hang literally everything up that's intended to go down the line. That's the issue. So if you don't do a repair, what I would recommend is jetting the line out, getting every bit of debris out of that belly that you can, and then I would re-scope it in a year, especially if you have little kids, people that you can't guarantee what's going down the line. If you're just putting folded toilet paper down the line and not balling it up into football-sized things, there's a decent chance it's not going to cause you problems, but it's very hard to even guarantee that when you have a belly of that size there. Which is why I'd recommend it be corrected. We're just about back to the clean out here. We're going to reverse direction for a moment and scope underneath the porch. We're sitting about 6 feet out from the foundation of the house here. So we have a little bit of standing water right here. This is an example of amount of standing water that is really not concerning at all. It's only about a 1/16 of an inch and certainly not worth tearing the porch up to repair that at all. At least in my opinion, it would be a total waste of money. Different story though with the belly out in the street. And everything under the porch here looks good. It's draining out. It's got a little tiny bit of standing water, but nothing that is significant or concerning. Aside from the belly out in the street, the rest of the line we've scoped there is in good condition and has proper or adequate flow. I do recommend correcting the belly though out in the street. Again, you'll probably have to relocate to get those paint markings. The picture will help you kind of get an idea, but you'll probably have to have paint markings put back down if you go out and cut the street open there. Again, we're at 2 feet 10 inches deep at the start of the belly, and at about 3 foot 10 to 4 feet deep at the end. Now, it's a very, very shallow line, even right here at the clean out. I mean, the flow line or the bottom of the pipe is barely 6 inches under the ground. That's a very shallow line to begin with, which is what was necessary. So it's one of those where I would consult a repair guy. It looks like with the depth change there between 2 feet 10 and about 4 feet at the main, it's more than likely a settling issue and not someone doing their math wrong, but you'd have to consult a repair guy and find out if that's the case. But we're at 2 feet 10 at the start of the belly and about 3 foot 10 to 4 feet at the end. And make sure you get a rescope done after the repair. Most of these bellies do happen at the time of installation. Someone doesn't compact the ditch right, they bury it, and then it doesn't handle the weight on top of it. So you want to make sure that it does look good all said and done before the repair guys leave the repair site.